With the baby bulls receiving their largest bust in months, is this the beginning of the mommy of all breakouts? The legendary mommy makeout breakout? Well, all I know is that this is going to be big. The price of Bitcoin right now is sitting right around the 200-day moving average, so far actually facing resistance. But is this going to be completely different from the price action of Bitcoin dating all the way back to the end of February, beginning of March this year, and Bitcoin is finally about to break out of this channel? Well, let's just say this is huge. So if you understand that before things can get big, they have to start off small and then they can get big. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, get signed up to BINGX below if you want to buy Bitcoin or altcoins. Remember, you have only about a week and a half left if you sign up with the link below to BINGX to sign up without KYC, and you'll never need KYC. So just make sure to sign up now before then, right? Lock in your spot now. Even if you don't plan on trading or buying immediately, it's better to have that option in the future. And without any further ado, let's absolutely dump on in. So we take a sneak peek at Bitcoin here. Bitcoin is basically sitting right at this level yet again of a make or break trend line on the daily chart. We've only squeaked above it twice back here in July, after which we failed to hold it. Look what happened. Immediate giga dump, right? After we failed there. And the only time before that was right here. We failed to really hold it and put in a higher high where we did not put in a higher high. And right afterwards, pretty giga dump as well. So this is a make or break moment. Basically, Bitcoin, if it can truly get above this $64,000-ish level, this very long-term trend line, and sustain it, put in a higher high, that'll be huge. But if it gets above this line or it stops where it's at right now and doesn't, then we could likely expect yet another move to the downside, just like we received here in July and also here in June. So this is not only big, it's quite literally as big as things can get. This is absolutely banana mode, in fact. I would go as far to say it's completely bananas. But before we continue with the charts, let's take a look at a few things here. We see BlackRock revealing that it's quietly preparing for a $35 trillion Fed dollar crisis with Bitcoin, predicted to spark a sudden price boom. Now, I'm sure you've already seen this. It kind of was on the headlines yesterday. But this is just ginormous. We have BlackRock, the largest asset manager on the planet, talking about this. Okay, when I got into crypto, the idea that any asset manager would be talking about Bitcoin like this was not even on the radar. It seemed impossible. Now we have the largest asset manager on the planet basically being a bigger moon boy than a regular moon boy. Okay, basically the largest asset managers on the planet are straight up moon boys. Okay, this is honestly preposterous. In fact, it's quite crazy to watch. We also see that right now, the average Bitcoin cycle starts about 170 days after the halving, but right now we're only about 140 or 150 days past the halving, meaning we still have a few more weeks till we can even expect that Bitcoin should start absolutely busting big time. And not only that, but it actually peaks about 300 days after that, meaning that within the next about 3 weeks, we should expect a peak about 300 days after then. Okay, so basically we should expect Bitcoin to top out about 320 or so days from today. 320 days, almost an entire year of gains you should be expecting if history were to simply rhyme. It doesn't have to repeat exactly, but if history rhymed. I think those are pretty decent odds. This chart, I think, it perfectly kind of illustrates exactly that. I personally think this chart as well, the Bitcoin halving chart, if we zoom out here, kind of see the same thing. I've been showing this every video, basically. We're now out of this range, and I personally think we're about to see liftoff extremely soon. The macro has never been better for it, meaning stocks are doing well, we're getting cuts. Is there going to be fake outs and shakeouts and mommy makeouts and fake mommy makeout breakouts along the way? Of course, right? There always will be fake outs, but overall, this is the time to be pretty big on Bitcoin. We also see that the biggest Bitcoin crash also has yet to start. However, if you take a little sneak peek here, this is actually an inverted chart, meaning that if Bitcoin were to go up in price, it would actually go down. because this chart's inverted. So it's a nice way of showing you like, wow, if this pattern were on the chart as it is and the chart weren't inverted, people would be saying, oh, this is a macro bearish breakdown. But if you flip it, it gets people to question their bias or forget their bias for a second and realize, hey, actually, we're most likely on the verge of the biggest bust of all time. And I think that's truly bust worthy. So we also see where Bitcoin's running into resistance right now is exactly on the 200-day moving average right here, this white line. And it's big for a reason, right? We got above the 21 and 50-day moving averages here as we went from about 58 to about 60. That we cleared these. And now you see, so far we're having a little bit of a test right here. If we look at just Bitcoin's chart and we draw just like kind of a line like I did at the beginning of the video, again, there's only two areas where we got above this for a very short amount of time, very short amounts of time, and it immediately got rejected once we failed to hold above this line. And we're at this line again. Now, not only are we there, but if we look at the weekly chart for Bitcoin as well, we see, obviously, we talked about this the last few videos, the RSI we're having this first cross on the RSI since this downtrend began. So that's pretty big. This is the closest by far. The weekly RSI has actually looked to be turning bullish as well. Whereas the RSI is actually confirming a bullish breakout. The MACD is getting close to. It hasn't quite yet on the MACD. But you can see, I mean, this is by far the closest this momentum has come to shifting since we got a bearish cross back, about 5 or so months ago. So maybe like 5-6 months ago. So also on the weekly chart for Bitcoin, we're sitting right at this absolutely very key 21-week SMA and 50-week SMA. So we see that the 21 is right here around 63, and the 50 is where we actually bounced most recently off support on these weekly charts, these weekly moving averages. So yeah, we're here on the weekly. We're also here on the daily. This is a pretty big level. Basically, if we break above where we topped out so far, around about 64,000 US dollars, that's where we can anticipate the actual breakout to begin. So we're not there quite yet. Right now, we've had a nice little pump in this range, but if we actually want a true breakout to actually potentially retest all-time highs, we're knocking on the door right now. Like, we're very close, but we need to get like we want to see basically these monster candles start right at about 64,000 and put us above these moving averages, not in between them, which we currently are still in between them. So we're very close. As I pointed out at the beginning of the video as well, with this tweet, we're still like, we have so much time left. We shouldn't even necessarily be expecting to be breaking out just yet. We still have a few weeks of wiggle room before we should expect to be breaking out. So that's promising as well, that we're still kind of ahead of schedule, to be fair. The SPX as well put a new all-time high yesterday. Currently, it's still looking decent. We're about to head into weekend trading, which is not the best, not the most reliable. And so it'll be interesting to see what Bitcoin does. Maybe it breaks out, maybe it doesn't. But it's not super significant, at least on the weekly chart. At least on the Bitcoin chart. What is significant is the weekly chart, which, as I just pointed out, is it just an insanely important level after putting in this higher low on the weekly chart right here. Back on August 5th was the low. The higher low was back exactly a month later at the beginning of September. And we have the chance of really truly breaking out here. I mean, you look at this chart for Bitcoin, whether you want to call it a bull flag or a descending broadening channel, look at it this way. Overall, I personally think that it's so lopsided towards this momentum is so ready to blow to the upside, just based on the technicals and also just based on the macros. But the fact both of them on their own are signaling such bullishness, it's hard to, when you put them together, it's kind of like mega bullishness. Now, there's going to be bumps along the way, right? It's not going to go straight up, and there's going to be a lot of fake outs, breakouts, potentially even mommy makeouts along the way. So keep that in mind. It's never just straight up. But overall, honestly, this looks insane. Obviously, again, do we have some sort of inverse head and shoulders here? That was really sloppy. Let's take a look. Inverse head and shoulders with basically this, and this being the neckline. Guys, we're right there. We are right there. I mean, if we actually look at the exact, kind of draw exactly what this looks like right here. I mean, we're testing this right now. The thing with Bitcoin too is that like See how it's been relatively boring, and we're not super close to all-time highs. In fact, at this very second, we're about 16% away from all-time highs. Bitcoin would need to move up 16% to be at all-time highs. Even though that might seem like a lot, and it seems like maybe that could take a few weeks, quite literally, when Bitcoin actually does have those breakouts, it happens in like 1 or 2 days. Okay, we get these giga candles, like a move like this, for example, back we got in February, that did take us to all-time highs. Remember, this is the last time we actually had an attempt at all-time highs, and it was exactly what I just said. Just one of these. I mean, from here to here was about a 25% pump in 3 days. So even though we're 16% off these all-time highs right now, or about 17%, we can get that in a single or 1 or 2 single days. Okay, 1 or 2 days is all it takes. And as I said, that's more often than not exactly how Bitcoin moves during these pumps. So not only is it big, it's giga big. And remember, get signed up to FEMEX below if you want to buy Bitcoin or altcoins. Sign up with the link below. You have about a week and a half to register quickly and easily without KYC. Afterwards, it will be a harder process to do that. So just lock in your spot now. And without any further ado,